This podcast is brought to you by the award-winning prop firm, Fidelcrest.
My first live account, I loaded it with £500 just as like a test or, forward testing kind of thing. And yeah, I took that to 1,500. So I tripled it in 3 months with decent risk management. Once you realize that you've got a strong strategy and it's pretty much almost watertight and it's difficult for you to lose money, literally, then you lose the fear. I had the first 4-digit winner and I didn't feel
just a trade, just one trade. Yeah.
Okay, But even though I had others that were 3 digits, it was the first one that hit 4 digits. And that was when I realized, something's changed now. And then like later on the same day, I didn't have any fear in taking another trade. And then that went 4 digits as well. And then at the end of the week, 5 digits and stuff like that. So I'm not saying it's easy to be profitable. It's not. Obviously the numbers, less than 1% are and all that stuff. But once you are profitable, the difficulty is to then carry on doing exactly the same thing but at a higher position size. This is when my profitability really took off, and when my confidence really took off is when
Episode 228. All right, folks, we're flipping the switch here this week on Trading Nut. We had Naveen Prithiani, trading superstar, last week. This week, we've got an unknown trader who is an avid listener of the show, who's gone through hell and back to make it as a full-time profitable trader. We're going to hear this grassroots story, every detail in a second, and you're going to find out why I got him on the show in just a couple of minutes. So, folks, the guy's name is Ben Omar, and what he shares with you today is something you're probably going to want to have on repeat and use it as motivation to get yourself over that line. All right, if you are looking for stuff from the likes of Naveen, well, look, good news. We've got him back on doing a little video on candlesticks. He breaks it down to the micro levels so you can really understand what's going on underneath and behind a candlestick, what makes it up. That video is dropping on the channel soon, along with part 3 of our 3-part support and resistance series with Jamie Palmer. That's hitting in the weekend, so don't miss that. And we've got all those live streams on the channel as well. And we've got that new thing. If you've seen it, great. If you haven't, go and check it out. There's links under the video to the Telegram channel where the trades on the live streams are being posted on those channels, so you guys can get alerted when those trades hit, along with a few other trades as well. So we've got Herrera Khan up there first, so go and check that out, folks. It's new here on Trading Nut. Talking about links in the description, we've got the $1 trial of my Robot Lab Live, and it's great to see a few people taking that up this week, or a few more people. And this week is a good time to join because we're actually starting on a new robot build. So if you want to be part of that journey, then it's a $1 trial. You get in there, 7 days. You're going to see what it's all about. So guys, go and check that out, all under the video. But for now, let's hear from my sponsor and get on with the show. Fidelcrest is an award-winning prop firm that funds traders with up to $2 million and offers generous profit splits up to 90%. So one thing that really sets Fidelcrest apart is their no minimum trading days requirement on their challenge and verification stages. On top of that, traders who successfully pass the challenge and verification stages are eligible to receive a bonus payout of up to $30K on top of their funded stage profit split payout on performance. And be sure to use promo code TradingNut, all one word, to get 10% off your next challenge. Click the link in the description below or the card above to find out more. All right, folks, here we are on Trading Nut. Now we've got an unfamiliar face in front of you today. It goes by the name of Ben Omar, and welcome to first of all, welcome to the show, Ben, before we get into the big spiel that I'm going to give. So welcome all the way over there in London.
Thank you. Good to be here, Cam.
Well, look, let's get into the spiel. So this started off with Ben sending me an email, and I want to read the email out to you guys just so to give you some context as to why I've got him on the show and why this show is probably going to be one of the ones you're going to want to listen to maybe a few times. So let's start with me reading this email out. My name's Ben. I've been trading now for 5 years. The last 2 have been serious / full-time. I wanted to reach out to you because I've been through hell and back in the last few years. Your podcast gave me the motivation and inspiration to keep going. There are many times where I nearly stopped, and your show / guests were integral in keeping me going through the dark times. Now I'm in a very good place. I rarely have losing days, and I define my daily weekly paycheck. I have nothing to sell, nothing for anyone to subscribe to. The only reason I want to be a guest is to help people out there who were where I was. It was horrific, sleepless nights, anxiety, everything. It doesn't have to be like that. Now I'm going to leave it there because there was more to the email, but that was the bulk of the good stuff, and pretty much like one of the main reasons I got you on. So Ben, thank you for coming on. and sharing your story. So let's start off with your journey. How did you get into trading? Trading? What was your sort of early life like? These sort of things.
Yeah. So early life, like I grew up maybe not with so much money, which probably had an impact on me as well. But I got into a kind of good career in my 20s, made like okay, decent money. But then as I kind of hit 30, I had a daughter on the way, and I wanted to kind of take like finance to the next level. So I started basically like looking at how to invest. What should I, how am I going to have a retirement? So I did. I started looking into like ETFs. I had a friend tell me to invest in like the Nasdaq and stuff like that. I ended up investing in crypto, and basically what it all kind of stemmed from there, because I would be buying like Bitcoin like once a month or something, and I'd see the price would bounce between levels. So I'd always try and get the best price, and that's kind of where it all kind of just stemmed from there, where I would basically be kind of almost swing trading Bitcoin from an investment point of view, kind of thing. And the problem I found with crypto was that I was just spending so much money on like fees and commissions and stuff. So I then moved over to stocks. So I found stocks. But the problem with stocks is obviously the PDT rule. So with stocks, you need a hell of a lot of money, like just to get going. So I was using an unregulated broker for stocks, and they were doing some dodgy things, like I couldn't exit positions and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, I think if the broker probably had their own positions on, and maybe they didn't want you to exit exactly, when you're scalping, you need to exit on that second and stuff like that. So I basically took all my money out of there, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And then I found Forex basically, and then from there it's only been Forex, and I do trade indices as well, but yeah, mainly just Forex now.
And so this journey into Forex, like we're going to dive deep into this, because this is where you started listening to the podcast, and I think you said before the show that you've listened to pretty much every episode of, I'm guessing the Trading Nut one, maybe not my other one. And no. How on earth did the journey into Forex go? Because it sounds like you've gone from like really just, I suppose, maybe dabbling in trading to trying to take it seriously. So how did that all go? And if you've got any sort of time horizons, include those as well.
Yeah, so I probably spent about 6 months in crypto, and then maybe a year in stocks, and then since then, like the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years in Forex, I think something like that. But so in crypto, I overall was just break even. So, and this is something I was going to say as well. For like a long time, I thought I was profitable. So at the end of the month, I'd make money. At the end of 3 months, at the end of the quarter, I'd make money. But then at the end of 6 months, I would be overall break even. And then I moved, when I moved over to stocks, I was making like 50, 80 pounds a day, like on average, something like that. But again, I was kind of like, stocks are pretty easy to scalp, I think, but it's just a different beast in terms of the kind of capital you need for it. So as I say, that's why I went into Forex. And Forex, when I went into Forex, I was doing okay with stocks. So I kind of thought, oh, well, this is just a 24-hour stock market, basically, but it's not at all. So that's where I kind of hit a big wall when I joined Forex, because I was literally just overall just break even straight for there was a period of about 18 months where I wasn't making any money, but I was putting in every single hour of my day. Sorry, that's my cat. So I was putting every single hour of the day. I mean, like literally, I'm not proud to say this, but like I fall asleep at my desk at like 1 a.m. I'd wake up at about 6 or 7 a.m., put a coffee on and get cracking, So it was really, 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 really intense.
And what were you doing? What were you doing from stocks to forex? What was the sort of approach that you brought across?
Complete. Well, exactly. This is another thing that doesn't work. So in stocks, I wasn't paying commission. I wasn't paying, like, the spread was a lot tighter. It was a lot easier basically to scalp a few minutes. Whereas this is where I was getting cut up. So then I moved over to Forex and I was getting absolutely just cut up on spread, slippage, commissions and all this. So a lot of the times I would have, in a Forex trade, I would have made money if it was a stock, simply because of all the stuff in between. And so yeah, for a long time I was trying to like scalp a few minutes in FX, and it just wasn't working. And I couldn't understand, because I was doing everything. I thought this is trading. This is, but it's not. When you're trading different instruments, you need to understand, or different asset classes, you need to understand they behave differently. They have different characteristics. They have different costs and how they work and stuff. So it took me a long time to kind of adapt or find the strategy that was conducive to trading FX, basically.
And so what would you say your strategy type was when you were trading stocks initially?
Yeah, like I say, it was momentum. It was just all momentum and all just like scalping, as I say, scalping 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes,
right,
5 minutes maximum. And yeah, that is doable. I think that is doable in stocks, but I just couldn't replicate that or bring that over to FX. And yeah, that's why I was just getting absolutely ruined.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like after 12 months, you were break even. That's pretty good going. I mean, I've got to say that is from a lot of the guests, it's like blow account. Yeah. For you to be able to stay, I mean, what sort of capital were you trading at that point?
Well, that's the thing. So in my first 3 months, I was doing really, really well. So in my first 3 months, my first live account, I loaded it with £500, just as kind of more, just as like a test, or forward testing kind of thing. And yeah, I took that to 1,500. So I tripled it in 3 months with decent risk management. I always had a stop loss. I always, had a reasonable position size and stuff like that. So I did really well for the first 3 months. But yeah, then I just got involved in too many. I think I got involved in too many pairs with too much spread, too much commission, and yeah, just started getting absolutely cut up. And that's what I mean, like to have like profitable months, profitable quarters, and then unprofitable months that would just bring me back down to break even. And so, I'm putting all this effort in and putting absolutely like blood, sweat and tears into it. And at the end of like the whole year, I look back and I'm where I was, and it's like, oh my, like there's no point in doing this, And that's those times where I was watching your podcast, watching guys on there, like just like, as I said before this call, I remember specifically one time, like it was like 2 a.m. I'm laying on the floor in my living room, staring up at the ceiling, thinking like, what am I going to do? And in the background's your podcast. And then there's a dude saying, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. Like whatever you do, just don't give up. And I just thought, yeah. And I remember it was like 2 a.m. and I jumped back on the charts and carried on for, I'm not saying to do this, but, and then I carried on for like, the rest of the night or whatever, because yeah.
All right, folks, I'm here at Black Bull Markets headquarters in Auckland, New Zealand. You can see this amazing view behind me of Auckland Harbour. Now, talking about views, if you do want to get free TradingView Pro, then all you need to do is trade one lot a month at Black Bull Markets, and they're going to give you free TradingView Pro. So, folks, to find out more, click the link in the description below or the card above.
So, because what I'm thinking is like, so how on earth did you manage to have like a full year where you could be at the charts almost, 24 hours a day?
It was more than a year.
Yeah, so how did you manage to do that? Well, how did you manage to get in a position where you could do that and you decided that I'm going to commit everything to it and not have any other work commitments, etc.?
So I was lucky. So before I got into trading at all, I had a business. So I had my own profitable business away from trading that I built in my late 20s or mid 20s. And yeah, so that gave me the capital to be able to just go for this, really. Yeah.
Okay.
And then once I got stuck into it, I don't know if it's just my personality or something, but if something's a challenge, the harder it is, the more I want it, the more I want to beat it, or so yeah, when I was trading, the worse things got, just more, the more I wanted to beat this thing.
Yeah. And so I mean, what can you think of any other episodes that sort of really helped you along the way, from either from just a motivational point of view or from a technical point of view, and things that you sort of glean from maybe not an episode of the podcast, but the courses that are mini courses that are on there as well?
So to be honest, not really from a technical perspective. Well, my belief is that any strategy can work, any technical strategy can work if you incorporate correct risk management, money management, and stuff like that. But where your podcast, I mean, pretty much every single episode, like you mentioned about, I mean, I've followed guys like Al Brooks before. I've bought his books. I've followed other guys like Tom Hugard, stuff like that. And these guys are inspirational, but none of them actually helped me, I think, really from a technical perspective, because I think I developed my own way of trading, and I think that's what everyone needs to do. Everyone needs to develop their own way. You can't. I honestly believe you can't just copy someone, or you can't copy someone's strategy because over the long run, it's just not going to work. It's just if something doesn't make logical sense to you, and you don't have full belief in why this is happening, then how are you going to increase your size significantly? So, how are you going to go from risking £50 to £500 to 5,000? So how are you going to make those leaps if in your core it hasn't come from you? I don't know. So.
Okay, so it was mainly the interviews giving you the motivation and the sort of I suppose high level thinking, and I mean maybe that's a way to go, to get just. I mean, it does help you focus on purely the chart stuff is your stuff. It's really got to be you. You've got to make it your own. I mean, what were some of the things that when you were making it your own that helped you, or that you sort of discovered to give you that confidence? I mean, how did you get the confidence?
Just from my confidence shot up when I realized that I had a watertight trading plan. Once you realize that you've got a strong strategy, and it's pretty much almost watertight, and it's difficult for you to lose money, literally, then it becomes, you lose the fear. I lost, this is another thing. So I had a big period for probably close to a year where I was almost not putting on trades, or when I was putting on live trades, I just watched the market. But when I would put on trades, they would be tiny. So I'd be losing £5 if it lost, stuff like that, because I had too much fear. And I had too much fear because I didn't trust my strategy, and I didn't trust my strategy because it wasn't watertight. So as soon as I realized that actually I have a really strong edge, or a decent one, then that's when it became, I need to just get up and press this button and get it on, because it's every single day I'm seeing this. So
can you define watertight?
Watertight. The watertight is well, nothing is super watertight really, but it's more just confidence from back testing and forward testing, that watertight to me is knowing that at the end of every week I'm 99% going to make money. That's watertight to me.
Okay, and so and so you got to the point where your confidence level was up there high enough that you knew that, okay, I'm going to make money at the end of the week regardless of what happens. Okay, let's dive into some of the stuff you're doing around the trading now, just from a numbers point of view. And we'll start off with the time frame that you enter on, and what time frames you enter, what time frames you analyze, and then maybe the pairs as well.
Yeah, sure. So I analyze from top down. So I'll start monthly. I'll go through monthly, weekly, daily, 4 hour. I'll mark out zones. This is more just for me to know. So I don't trade on those time frames, but it's more for me to know that I don't want to be going long into a weekly resistance zone or a monthly resistance zone. So it's more to keep me out of trouble. And then I'll go down to the 5 minute. And this is, so in the morning, I'll mark up my zones, and then I'll just be watching the 5 minute. And then, I have a very simple strategy, just break and retest. Like there's nothing special really about what I do. I think what's special probably or different about what I do is my risk management and my money management. So that's what makes me money. It's literally as simple as that. This is what I mean. It's not my technical analysis. It's not my technical entry. It's just purely my risk management. That's it. That's literally all it is.
And can you? I mean, because break and retest has been on here a million times.
Yeah.
And marking up zones, and that's a million times as well. So what are you doing in the money management, risk management point of view that's different from other people out there?
Yeah. So this is where I got a lot of confidence from. So when I discovered hedging, or how to hedge, and how to dollar cost average, that was when I got like a lot of confidence in what I was doing, because all of a sudden I wasn't kind of getting cut up with constant, getting my stop loss hit all the time. So if my stop loss, sometimes, quite a lot of the time, if my stop loss gets hit, I make money because I've hedged it. So.
Right. Okay. So and where would you hedge? Would you hedge on the stop? When the stop gets hit, you take the opposite position, or do you take two positions when you get in and get out?
So it's normally discretionary, but it's normally I'll have an entry point. If a trade's going against me, I'll have an entry point essentially the opposite way, to cover my stop loss getting hit. But it's very, hedging is it's easy to hedge. Anyone can hedge, but the skill is knowing when to kind of unwind it, really.
Yeah, because you can get in tricky situations where you got two positions on, and it's like, well, what's going on here? I don't know when to get out of one, and if I get out of this one, what if it carries on, and all this sort of stuff. So I suppose that you've obviously got a way that you do it that ensures that you can get out of both sides. Now, is that something to do with seeing an opposite signal to get you out of?
It's I go. Yeah, it's kind of an opposite signal. So it's based on. So it's not the same. It won't be the same entry signal. It's basically based on the percent of. It's hard because I've just made this up myself. There's not really it's based on basically pretty much how badly my original position is going. So at a certain percent of my original position, I will start to hedge. But as well, I scout in and out, so of all my trades. So there's a lot of scaling happening. So
right.
Yeah.
So if you haven't got it, so basically, if you haven't scaled the full thing in, then you obviously have got less risk on the table anyway. So if you stop to get hit, you might not even bother hedging because you're going, well, it's the first position. And
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha. Oh, that's interesting. It's an interesting way. It's interesting that you discovered that, and how on earth did you discover that was the way you were going to make this thing work?
Just literally one day. Trading isn't like it wasn't like one aha moment. It was like a collection of hundreds, of aha moments, really. But yeah, just one day I thought what happened was I was looking into hedging. So I knew this, I looked into it, and then I tried to basically find a way of incorporating it into how I trade, how I would normally trade. And yeah, that's what I'd recommend.
Now, you talked about making, like in your email, you also talked about making sort of every mistake in the book. I mean,
yeah.
Can you go through that period of your trading? I mean, what kind of mistakes were you making, and how detrimental was that to your mental state? And like, were there any sort of massively low times like the one you mentioned?
Yeah. So every mistake. So over leveraging, mostly around leveraging, over leveraging or under leveraging, more because I didn't understand position sizing perfectly. You know, I normally trade one lot, so I'll use one lot, you know, it's ridiculous. So yeah, from that perspective, and like fear, like not so you might know trading in the zone. So big mistake I do is just not giving into the process. So I'd have a plan, just the classic thing what every trader probably does. They have a plan. 5 minutes into their entry, plan's gone out the window, you know, they're doing this, that, the stock's been moved, I'm making another entry, you know, just absolute, you know, madness. So yeah, literally everything like that. And probably the lowest point for me was, I remember I tried to get funding. This was way too early, so I shouldn't have done it. Like I wasn't prepared to do it, and I went for funding. And I had a great entry, had everything perfect, like in terms of the trade. And because I was so under leveraged, it was just a meaningless trade. But it would have, you know, I don't know, it went like 8R, or you know, it would have got me, you know, in one trade, it would have got me past, you know, like so. And you know, looking back on that, I was just like, oh my god. And then because I realized I was under leveraged, then on the next trade, I over leveraged and I lost the thing. So it's like, you know, every mistake.
Yeah, right. And so you said here that you had, sorry, were you going to say something extra?
Yeah, no, just as well, like being greedy. So I'd have a plan, you know, I'm getting out at this point. It gets to that point, just like as well, like I'm sure what every trader does, they look at their P&L. Oh, it's looking quite juicy. I think I'm going to leave this one. And then, you know, it comes screaming back to break even or screaming back to stop loss. Just that would happen all the time, you know. This is a thing as well. So from day one, I'd always have a stop loss. So when I very first started trading up, there's one mistake I didn't do was I always knew a place where I was going to get out, but I never had a take profit for years. I'd just be trading like no take profit. It's that you have to have areas, like I don't care like what you're doing. If you come out the whole trade or if you take partials, whatever, you need to have points where you're taking profit. You need predefined, and you need to stick to it religiously.
And so do you have like quite a complex taking profit process or levels, or are you like it's just always 2R or something like that?
So now I try to have like one. I try to look at. So I never take any profit below 1R, and I try to trail my stop. So if something goes 1R or over 1R, I'm very discretionary at my take profit, but I will take profit if that makes sense. So if so, too many times what I was doing is I'd have a set risk to reward, and then I'd enter great trades, and I'd take it off too early. Not in a greedy sense, but it would just the trade, for instance. Sometimes you'll have like your 1R, you know, is there, and the trade just blows straight past it. Well, it's like, and you know that's why I try to trail it. So in case there's those times where you just get a massive kind of spike through or something, then I try to trail my stop at 1R. So if it blasts through, you know, TP1, I put a trading stop there, and then I try to let the market go. But as it goes, I'll raise that TP, basically.
Tired of missing trades or spending hours at the charts? Introducing my Robot Builders Club. With our platform, you can build bots in minutes, not weeks, without any coding required. Get lifetime access to my video course, VIP community, and over 40 ready-made robots. Works with MT4 or MT5, and as a bonus, you'll get 3 months access to my robot lab, where we build and test bots on live calls every week. Join the hundreds of traders who are trading smarter, not harder. Click the link in the description to learn more, get the free training, and download a free robot. Okay, and is there any sort of trick to your trailing stops?
It's more technical. It's 100% discretionary, technical, based on literally based on candlesticks. Yeah, candlestick patterns. So if I see like an engulfing candle, for example, then I'll just put the TP. I'll just keep moving the TP up below engulfing candles.
Right. Okay. And so let's quickly dive into the, I suppose, aha moments you mentioned, right? So in your email, you even said, you said aha moments, which were true aha moments, not the false dawns I had before. So talk us through the false dawns, which is quite interesting. I don't think we've had these before.
Yeah. So there'll be so many. There was so many times where I'd have a trading day. And things would go well, and I'd see things in the market. So, for instance, like on a trend day, anyone can trade a trend day, right? So, I'd see on a trend day, it will just keep grinding, right? And so I'd think, okay, what I need to do is I need to place a stop order above here, and then it'll, so things like that, and then I'd like go run into my missus and be like, right, I figured it out, don't worry, like this is it now, and this would be like literally every day, like or nearly like every day. So those were the 4 storms, and then what was happening is like the next day we're in a range and it's not happening, and so this is like when I started trading, I didn't understand that there are all these different kind of types of markets, and all different things happen. And basically, every strategy works and every strategy doesn't work, and you just need to cover yourself for when it doesn't work. And that is trading. Like, that is it.
And so, if you had to sort of like go here with the true aha moments, what were they for you? And were there any specific days, or can you remember a date or a day or something that that really sort of changed things?
I think it was when, so there was one where I realized dollar cost averaging, it not just averaging a losing position. That's not what dollar cost averaging is. So if let's say I'm in a trade, and I've decided so I'm quite discretionary. So I've decided for whatever reason I'm not hedging. I have high conviction in this. I'm only going. Let's say I have a strong bias in something, and I'm only going long. So I'm in a position. What I realized, a big aha moment was just placing, understanding risk and placing specific sized orders in specific places, quite close to my stop loss, so that basically like those positions would be just obviously I don't need to explain dollar cost averaging, but just aha moments around that, aha moments around averaging, and probably the biggest one was just being just keeping it super simple. So this is when my profitability like really took off, and when my confidence really took off is when I stopped trying to trade everything, and I stopped trying to trade every kind of everything I could see, like not just in terms of every instrument, but in terms of the chart. So I'd be like watching it like a hawk all day and trying to look for like, this candlestick pattern, that candle, like no, like I just focused on, one session, one trade a session, and that's it. Yeah.
Right. And how hard was it to get to that point where you're like, nah, I'm just going to do one trade a session? Because I suppose you've already built the habit of trading all the candles, in the session and the out of the session. How did you manage to get to that? Was there some sort of crisis that happened or whatever?
Yeah, I think it was like that period of where I look back of like 18 months or something of being break even. I knew that I had to change like completely. Like I had to change completely. And that's when I realized, like, I just thought, okay, all I need is one winning trade. That's all you need. One winning trade a day. That's all you need. So I tried to just focus on just one trade at least per session, and then at maximum one trade per session, and then hone it down to a really high conviction trade. So I'm very very specific on what trades I take. They say, only A++ or whatever. That's what they say, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's what I try to aim for. But it's like, how do you define that? You can't. It's very difficult to define exactly what an A++ trade is. But it's say like where I have a bias and sentiment is my way, fundamentals are my way, and everything else is other confluences. So psychological levels on the chart. And other things like that.
Okay. And so diving into like what pairs you're trading now. So you talked about going from every single thing. So what do you do now?
So I pretty much just trade one pair, but that pair will get interchanged every few months based on what I like the look of, or it could be every few weeks. So recently, like, gold's been moving really, really nicely, or for me anyway, recently. So I've been trading a lot of gold, but like the end of last year, I was trading a lot of euro dollar. I think when it was in like a nice downwards. We had a lot of things like, because I'm looking at the fundamental side of stuff. So like when the war in Ukraine happened, we entered a really strong like downtrend in euro dollar. So I remember I was just short in euro dollar like almost every day for months.
Okay, so you do some fundamental stuff to give you a market that's going to be, I suppose, 100%. Give you your edge, right? Yeah, it gives you your edge. Yeah. Now, what about so you started off with £500 and you tripled that, and then you ended up being break even at the end of 18 months. How did you sort of fund your way forward from there? Where did you? What was the next step from that £500?
So when I really had when earlier when I talked about having a really strong watertight plan, when I had that's when my trading size grew exponentially. And this is another thing like to be aware of, that I'm not saying it's easy to be profitable. It's not. It's very obviously the numbers, less than 1% are and all that stuff. But once you are profitable, the difficulty is to then carry on doing exactly the same thing, but at a higher position size. So again, this is where I really struggled. So I like I said earlier, I was like trading £50. I was risking £50 or something like that. And that's the emotions, they're difficult enough with £50 on, but then the real challenge in trading is managing and doing everything correctly while your position size is 10 times higher or 100, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a really difficult stage for me. So I as soon as my worst the worst trade I ever did was on Dow Jones, and this is where I was 50. I went from risking £50 to £500 overnight. Just asking to get ruined by your own mentality. Really, there, literally overnight, because I was doing really well. And I just thought, yeah, this is it. I need to go for it now, like an idiot.
And was that £500? Was that profit, like that you'd made already, or was that just fresh, like a fresh account?
No, just in the account. Yeah, just from what I'd grown.
Okay, yeah. So it was a profit you'd made. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, this is why I kept being break even, because I'd slowly build up the account like a ninja, and then just ruin it. So yeah, so I remember specifically, I was like, I went to bed thinking, right, tomorrow I'm going big. And then, so then the next day I went to 500, and it was the worst trade ever, because it was technically, it was a great trade. It went on to be a great winner, but it went into drawdown by about £450, and I just couldn't handle it. I just closed it. I just, just bang, just like, oh my God. And then obviously it goes on and goes on to be a great winner, just as, my analysis was correct.
Which is even worse, right? It's like you want to be right one way or the other. And if you do that, you can't be. You can't be.
Just, just sabotaging myself. So, and yeah, that trade as well was that one trade. It set me back over a year, because after that trade, I then went on tilt, and I lost all the profit in my account. That's what I mean when I went all the way back to break even, and then I was like, that's when I pulled the money out of the account, and I was like, okay, that's it. I'm just going to watch the markets, and for maybe about 3 months, I was too scared to even put on a £1 risk trade, and then I basically just built myself back up from there, really.
And so how did you get to a larger account size? I mean, did you, because it sounds like, based on that, it sounds like, you knew that the lesson there of going from a small size to large size overnight is not going to work, right?
Yeah. So I did have savings, so I used those to have a decent level of account, and I had money coming in, so I can use, you can use leverage to get to the position size that you need. But I grew position size pretty slowly, but then once I realized that, as I said earlier, once I realized that I had a really strong edge or really strong strategy, or I don't know, I just felt really confident in everything that I was doing, then I literally had no problem like going 10 times in my size, in my sizes. Right. So, and even now, like this is something I tell people as well, like, try to have total emotional detachment. That's what you need to practice. Total detachment to the trade. You put the trade on, it doesn't matter if it hits stop loss. It doesn't matter if it hits take profit. I don't feel anything now. So honestly, I could have, big winners. I don't care. Like, it's on to the next one, on to the next day. I'm doing whatever. That's the type of mentality that you need in order, I think, to succeed in the long run, because, like I say, going from small size to big size, you need emotional detachment 100%. You need to be, Iceman.
Mm. Now, what I'm interested is in hearing is what your first sort of like the value of the first week where you actually sort of thought, okay, now this is significant. I'm happy with, like, this has been great. This, and I suppose he's trying to be Iceman at the same time. I want to hear what that, like, if you can share with us that figure, that would be awesome. And then what happened the next week is really what I want to find out as well.
So the big turning point, I think, for me was when I had my first 4-digit winner. So I had a first 4-digit winner, and I didn't
just a trade, just one trade. Yeah. Okay.
Just one. But it was the first. It was the first one that hit. Even though I had others that were 3 digits, it was the first one that hit 4 digits, and I didn't feel anything. And that was when I realized, oh, something's changed now. And then, like, later on the same day, I didn't have any fear in taking another trade, and then that went 4 digits as well. And then at the end of the week, 5 digits and stuff like that. So,
Okay, so it was over £10,000 at the end of the week, end of that week.
Yeah.
Now, what about what happened the next week? How did that, like the winning week? You've made 10 grand plus. How did that look the next week?
So I can't remember exactly, but every week has been pretty good. So I haven't had losing weeks for a long time. I think the key is I have losing days and I have break-even days, but the key is that I don't care. I care as much as the same as I have a winning day. Honestly, it's just all the same. It's just so I'm not looking at. Even though I'm talking about weekly, I'm not even looking at week. I'm looking at 100 trades. I'm looking at what's happening over the year, and I think this is another thing that to realize is that when people say are you a profitable trader? A lot of people will say yes, and then you say, okay, how long you've been trading? And they say 6 months. That's not, that's not profitable trading in my opinion. It's over the course. How are you doing over the course of 100 trades, 200, 300? That's what you need to be looking at. Don't worry. If you start worrying about daily and weekly, like it's going to start to get really emotionally difficult. And so as well, that's what helps my detachment. I don't
number of trades,
to,
number of trades is your focus, not how whatever week. Because I was just wondering if you'd had a rhythm going that week, and then the weekend hit, and you somehow sort of like your brain detached from the daily, like here's my daily routine of trading and seeing the markets, and then you go back in on a Monday, it's now fresh. But it sounds like at that point something had fundamentally shifted in your mind. And I mean, is there any way you can try and share with the audience like how that shift happened, or like anything?
It's called 5 years of hard work. That's what it is.
Right.
That's what it is. It's there's because I was trying for so long, I think eventually everything comes together, but it takes time. That's why you don't give up. You just don't give up, because all these things have to come together. Your fundamental understanding, technical understanding, risk management, and then emotional management. Emotional management is what separates good traders from very good traders, because I'm sorry, but hedge funds, they're not looking for people who can make £50 a day. They're looking for people who can emotionally manage 5 million or things like this, right? So it's very easy to trade small amount, or it's not easy, but it's a lot easier to trade small amounts of money, and it just comes with time. So it just comes with time of having the experience of having your stop loss get hit, bang bang bang, and having your take profit get hit again and again and again, and then you realize it's just a process. I don't for every trade I put it on, and I don't care what happens. I know if this one doesn't win, I'll get one later today or tomorrow, or so.
And now it's going to be pretty hard to answer these next two questions, but I mean, what win rate and sort of risk to reward do you typically have? And what the questions I ask here, so you probably got an idea.
It does vary, but like around win rates around, at worst 40%, at best kind of like 60-65, like if we're talking kind of like weekly or something like that. And then risk to reward, it's never lower than 1. Again, it varies, but it's between 1 and 2.
Okay. Yeah. So no crazy figures here, right? And it's this is what I think people need to think about. And how do you get into those trades? Are they market orders or limit orders? Stop.
Normally market, but normally market, but like sometimes stop orders. Just like if the chart is setting up in such a way where you can see that there's a liquidity build above or below a certain level, then I'll use a stop order, like because you can get some really, really sniper entries that way.
Okay. And you talked about in your email that you're now starting to diversify into prop firms. Do you want to talk about that journey now that you've obviously, if you had an early days 5-figure week, you can do a $100,000 challenge on a prop firm, make 10%. That's your 5 figures there. So you sort of, I'm thinking, what's the beauty of the prop firm model for you?
Yeah, so it's to be able to actually, the thing that drew me to props was because I could trade like all sorts of instruments on there. So on one broker, I can now access stocks, I can access indices and forex. It's quite the the company I use is quite good like that. But the main thing is just to be able to diversify risk. So I can just, what I want to do, like my plan for this year is just to build up as many funded accounts as possible. And then, so I can be in a position where I'm not trading my own money at all. And then, just try to, because these funding companies, they offer a lot of potential, a lot of money out there, and you don't just have to use one. You can use several, so you can build up quite a large fund yourself. Just having diversified risk. So I always trade my personal account, but I want these funded accounts like as an additional kind of like almost risk-free. Kind of.
I see what you mean. Now, what about like how are you going to trade these accounts? Are you going to use a trade copier service, or are you going to trade them separately?
I've been trading on them. Yeah, I just trade on them separately. I thought about trade copiers, but the thing is that it doesn't make sense to me because it doesn't really diversify my risk as much as what I want. Yeah. So on each prop account, and this is another thing I'd say, if anyone's looking at props, like you just make sure that you are definitely profitable already. Like, because I see like on social media, like a lot of people, prop firms are, being kind of blasted about everywhere on social media, and they're getting a lot of attention. And I think, like, obviously you can see from the stats, 99% of props, like prop challenges or whatever, they foul. And they foul because they're just new traders doing it. They see like the big account size and they think like, oh, this is get rich quick and stuff like that. It's not at all. So like the risk I use on my prop account is tiny, but it's safe, so yeah.
That makes sense. It's quite clever actually to not copy your trades across all the accounts and just do, and I suppose some traders may not have as many trades in their, that they're taking, so that they can go, well, I'll just take a trade here and I'll take a trade there and I'll still pass that challenge and, be able to get some money out of that one. Okay, cool. That's interesting. Now, sorry, go on.
I don't know. I was just going to say as well, what I'm doing as well, I've got a couple of different strategies. So that's what I'm doing as well. So on each account, what I'm trying to do is like I label them by a different strategy as well. So it's not just diversify risk. My strategy is diversified as well across the different accounts. So again, that's just risk management,
And what does your typical trading day look like now?
So get up pretty early, just trying to wake myself up, give myself a slap, and then just get in front of so I get up at like, I don't know, 7 a.m. or something. And I trade London Open, or well, not London Open, I trade London Session. So yeah, I'm on the charts from about 8 a.m. and then I'll be off by about 11 a.m. So I only do a few hours there. And then if I've won, I've had a winner, like my one trade has won, that's it. Like I'm done. Close it down. I've got a little daughter. I go and play, we go and play, we just hang out, and then, I play try and play, sport in the afternoon or stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so one trade for the day, and that is it. You're done. You're not even going to look at the New York session, or you'll come back for that as well.
I'll come back for New York. If most days I'll try to come back for New York. Especially if I've lost London, or I'm break even on London, then 100% I trade New York. But yeah, someday if I have a really good winner, like in London, or like if I get 2R in London, I'm not trading New York. Yeah. Life is short,
Yeah, enjoy the time. Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you do any stuff around mindset to help you just on an ongoing basis?
I try to meditate. You know, that isn't gonna. I see it posted around quite a lot, like on social media, like people saying like meditate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not going to make you profitable exactly, but it's good. It's just good for your overall like mental calmness. So things in terms of mindset, I think just before a trade. So even how confident I am now, sometimes before I trade, especially on a Monday. I don't know why, but on a Monday, like it's the first day of the week, like before I'm about to enter, I sometimes get a little bit, you know, like, is this going to lose and stuff, you know, just occasionally. And then I have to. So before I enter, I try to just calm myself, remind myself, like emotional detachment. This trade doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I lose. I just keep telling myself it doesn't matter if I lose, basically. And
right.
then that gets me in. And something something that helped me, and another aha moment kind of thing was that I was so all these years I've been quite self-analytical. So what I realized was it's a good idea to, after the trade, after you finish your trading session, write down how you actually felt before you entered the trade, during the trade, and after. And I've seen people say this before, like journal your feelings and stuff, but I never really understood how that can help. But it helps in the long run, because after like a week or a month of doing it, you'll start to notice patterns. Like you'll start to see, I get really nervous before I enter, or I get this happens, that happens, and then at least it gives you like something to latch onto in terms of like what you can try to rectify for like the next week. So like, yeah, that's what I found.
Yeah. It gives me an idea there, like in terms of what would be quite handy. And I think a lot of, I don't know about. I know a lot of guys would struggle to go, well, how do I actually feel? I don't really know. But I suppose if you had like a list of maybe 6 feelings or something, and each of those had like a 1 to 10 or 1 to 6, and the middle one was sort of like, you know, I suppose nonchalant or whatever, and the bottom one was nervous, the top one was confident, or overconfident, and then that's sort of what you need, isn't it? And then you can go, okay, what was my average score here across the week? And then, man, I might even put that into my plan.
Honestly, that helped me so much, just to understand, like, because when you're in the moment, when you're trading, when you're in the middle of the session, you can't really assess how exactly you're feeling and how that's impacting your trading, your strategy, your plan, your risk management overall. That's why, like, you have to do it. Personally, like, I didn't even write it down, but I'm saying, like, if you can write it down, because I just noticed it after, say, a few weeks and months of trying to analyze myself and my feelings, that I realized that, actually, I'm getting really like fearful at this point, and I'm doing, I'm getting greedy at this point, and then it sometimes unmasks a lot of the issues in your trading plan, let's say.
It's a good one. Now, what about if you had to sort of say, right, here's a bit of a roadmap for somebody, here's what I recommend you do, what would it consist of?
That's a great question. I think obviously it depends on your goals, but I'd say, like, don't rush. Just remember to don't give up. So, like, there's some statistics that I was looking at, and you might have probably already heard these, but like, I think I saw, I've got them written down. Hold on, sorry, what was it? So 40% of new traders quit after 1 month. So you probably heard that before, right? And 80% quit in 2 years. But what that 40% figure, when I read that, it gave me like so much belief to keep going, because if you think about it, like, this is one of the most competitive industries in the world, one of the most lucrative, and nearly 50% are dropping out after 1 month. Like, how can you possibly think that you're going to go up against, the best and the brightest from all over the world. Hedge funds are hiring people from MIT and all these places to trade and stuff like this. So how can you possibly even, try to think that you're going to be profitable after a month? So just don't give up. And then, if you just don't give up, you'll probably get there. Honestly, it's literally as simple, because trading isn't hard. It isn't really in the long run. It doesn't need to be so hard. It just is hard because you need the experience. And so if you give up before you have the experience of knowing how to trade, then you're never going to get there. So yeah, just don't give up. Simple as that.
Yeah. Good advice, as you mentioned at the start of the show. Now, what we'll do is we'll wrap up here with a few quick-fire questions. And to start, first one is, how long did it take you to go from newbie to consistently profitable?
About 3 years.
What's your favorite entry setup?
Break and retest. Yeah.
What's your recommended trading book or resource?
Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. But yeah.
And the Trading Nut podcast, obviously.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, of course.
I thought this was a leading question, but obviously not. What's your preferred broker and trading platform? Look, folks, I know you want the answer to this question. Which broker is this trader using? Now, the answer has been sponsored by Black Bull Markets. So to find the answer out, you're going to need to go over to tradingnut.com, find the show notes page for this guest, and then all will be revealed. And do you want to walk us through your worst ever trade?
Yeah, it was Dow Jones. When I decided to 10 times my position size overnight, because I was all of a sudden a big boy trader.
Yeah, all right, we heard about that one. And if you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice, what would it be?
Try to master emotional detachment during the trade and while you're entering the trade. Yeah, just be a robot.
Right, righty-ho. That's the key. That's the key, folks.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. Now, I don't think you're keen for people to get hold of you. Is that right? You're not bothered, or you're happy for people to reach out, or?
Yeah. So like, I don't sell anything. I'll never sell anything. But I created a Twitter account just the other day. It's Freedom Pips FX. So, if you want to, I'll just be throwing up like just stupid memes and also like chart setup as well. I'm going to start posting on there, kind of just like the types of things that I'm looking at for the week ahead and stuff like that, or just whatever I can really. But yeah, just if people want to reach out on there, that's cool.
Awesome. Well, look, folks, a big thank you to Ben for sharing with us today. Everything we've discussed here, along with that Twitter link, will be in the show notes. To find them, simply search for Ben in the search box on tradingnut.com or check the link in the description. Until next time, I wish all my listeners trading happiness and success. All right, folks, interview done and dusted with Ben. So now, other things going on here at the channel. If you do want to check out that video about candlesticks from Naveen, then please go and check it out. He dives into the detail of it. It really gives you a full understanding of what goes on behind a candlestick on all different time frames and how they operate. So you've got to go and check that out. It's not just for the newbies, it's for intermediate and advanced traders as well. Other things, we've got that live streams. We've got Herrera Khan on the live streams there, and the trades are being transported or teleported, whatever you call it, onto Telegram. So you can actually see those trades hit, along with some other trades you might be taking during that week. And other things are Robot Lab Live. Remember, it's where we're going to build out trading robots, and we're actually starting a new one next week. So if you do want to jump on board that, then go and check out the $1 trial. I'd love to see you in there. All right, folks, enough from me. Have a great trading week, and we'll see you in the next one.